Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our distinguished guests, members of the media, and other guests attending today here at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum. Good morning. I'm Joe Crane. I'm the Director of Public Programs and Community Engagement. We're so glad to have you here visiting with us this morning as we look forward to a summer filled with fun and families all across the state experiencing everything that Illinois has to offer, and we'll learn more about that here in just a moment. In the meantime, we invite all of you to come visit us at the museum to see the Lincoln legacy told in an incredible way that we've been doing it now for 16 years, and also to see our new exhibit, State of Sound, a world of music from Illinois that celebrates all the great diversity of artists and music and their impact on popular culture for the last 50 to 75 years. I think you'll enjoy the exhibit, and it's part of the regular admission on the museum every day. So, without further ado, let's get things started. Please join me in welcoming our governor for the land of Lincoln, appropriately here at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum, Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Thank you very much, Joe, and welcome to everybody. It's a very exciting day, and I've been looking forward to this for some time now. I want to express my appreciation to the staff here at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum for hosting us, and I'm very glad to have the opportunity to thank everyone who not only works here at the museum and makes the experience for everybody visiting so terrific, but also all the visitors who come here year in and year out and help make Springfield so vibrant, especially during our summers. And I want to thank the museum for offering, and this is something you may have heard about in the last week or so, offering free admission to anybody who's been vaccinated in May or in June. And all you have to do is come, and after having your first dose, not even your second dose, being fully vaccinated, you can come and get free admission. It's an exciting incentive for people, and I know that people will be taking advantage of it and already are. Vaccinations are our best tool to truly end this pandemic, and they're available to anyone right now. If you want to get vaccinated, there is no waiting. You can go get vaccinated today. The faster that we can all get vaccinated, the more likely this summer will be getting us back to normal. Down the street here in Springfield, the General Assembly is hard at work helping our state advance our economic recovery and invest in education and workforce development and health care. And I want to recognize some of the leaders who have taken the time to come and join us today. I hope I get everybody that's joined us. We have a bipartisan group with us. House Speaker Chris Welch, our Senate President Don Harmon, as well as my own state senator, Senator Sarah Feigenholtz, Representative Lamont Robinson, Senator Rochelle Crow, Representative Dave Severin, and all of those folks together lead our tourism committees in the General Assembly. I also want to thank Senator Doris Turner and Representative Sue Scherer for hosting us here in their district. Did I miss any members of the General Assembly? Raise your hand and I'll call on you. Thank you all for joining us today. The Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum is one of our state's greatest attractions, having welcomed millions of people from around the world. That's why I chose this as the place to announce Illinois' new tourism campaign, one designed especially to meet this moment in our history. After an incredibly difficult year in which the pandemic kept us all close to home and staying apart, life-saving vaccines are bringing us back to life and heading toward a summer of fun and venturing out. Today, I'm proud to launch the Time for Me to Drive campaign, inviting people to see all of Illinois, showing off adventures of all kinds, historic sites and winery tours, state parks and rock climbing, hiking and zip lining, hundreds of craft breweries, and thousands of excellent restaurants across the entire state. The Time for Me to Drive campaign highlights the fun and the beauty that our diverse communities offer, and it shows off our natural assets and our man-made ones too, all over our state. Visitors can tour one of Illinois' more than 300 state parks and recreation areas, places like Matheson State Park in Oglesby with its endless hiking trails, and Giant City State Park in Makanda with its world-renowned rock climbing and other natural beauties like the Shawnee National Forest, which offers us the Garden of the Gods. We've got the famous drives of Route 66 and Great River Road, the haunted tours of Alton, the wineries of southern Illinois, and the architectural landmarks of downtown Chicago. And here in Springfield, you can witness history all around you, including right here at the ALPLM, soon to be one of the 2 presidential libraries in Illinois when the Obama Center is completed in Chicago. More and more travelers are ready to get back out there. Recent surveys show that half of Americans plan to travel this summer, and half of them intend to drive. So whether you want to ease your way back into travel or are raring to go, taking the Great American Road Trip is a great way to enjoy yourself and to stay safe. So no matter who you are or how you travel, this campaign introduces tourists to an Illinois they may not have seen before. We're a state that values safety for our own people, and we offer it to visitors from the rest of the world as well. If you want to see the sights, if you want a change of scenery, if you want to travel safely, come to Illinois. I encourage travelers from across the region and those in Illinois who haven't seen all our state has to offer, go online to enjoyillinois.com, where you can find over 60 itineraries that will take you on a journey to the wonders of Illinois. Just as importantly, tourism means jobs. It means more hotel and hospitality and recreation workers getting to go back to work. It means millions of new visitors safely exploring all the amazing things that Illinois has to offer, supporting myriad local economies along the way. I don't want to forget to acknowledge the presence of Jane DeLuce, the chair of the Illinois Council of Convention and Visitor Bureaus, Springfield Convention and Visitor Bureau Director Scott Dahl, President and CEO of the IHLA, Michael Jacobson, and DCEO Director Sylvia Garcia. The joy of a road trip is the promise of what's right around the corner. So let's turn that corner together and show everyone that Illinois is the place to start their next great adventure. With that, I'd like to direct everyone to the screen for the first public preview of the first Time for Me to Drive campaign ad.
Time for me to drive. Well, I've got to set myself free. That's just how it's got to be.
Illinois, home to the iconic Route 66, the Great River Road, and countless road trips to discover. Find yours at enjoyillinois.com.
And I'd like to introduce our Director of the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, Sylvia Garcia. Sylvia?
Thank you, Governor. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here today in Springfield along the Governor and so many other tourism advocates to kick off this major milestone. As you just byways that connect us all. From Chicago to Carmondale and everywhere in between, there are so many communities to visit on a road trip this summer in Illinois. We're so excited to be able to make this announcement today, and we really encourage everyone here to check out enjoyillinois.com, where you can find itineraries, trip ideas, travel accommodations, and much, much more about all the things you can experience here in Illinois. In addition to the many sites and attractions we can't wait to welcome visitors back to, today we're also celebrating the important role that tourism plays in our economy. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, Illinois welcomed over 120 million visitors every year. And those visitors spent over $40 billion in Illinois. That's billion with a B. I think, unfortunately, last year, as we stopped traveling in order to keep each other safe, visitor spending in Illinois was cut in half. This decline in tourism had a reverberating effect on our local communities and our local economy. That's why Governor Pritzker, from the very beginning in this crisis, wanted to make sure we're providing sufficient relief to small businesses, including tourism and hospitality businesses. This has been a top priority for us at the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity and for the governor and the state as a whole. Through the Business Interruption Grant Program, we've directed over $75 million to tourism-related businesses, in addition to $133 million that went to restaurants and bars, which are key destinations in and of themselves. The Time for Me to Drive campaign is not only a milestone in bringing tourism back for this summer, it's also part of our ongoing work toward a strong recovery for the tourism industry over the long term. I often say that tourism is the front door or the welcome mat for the state of Illinois, and it's part and parcel of the ongoing efforts we undersee at the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity to attract businesses here. We know that positive impacts in tourism, and looking at the campaign and a great visit to Illinois, can be really important in helping folks plan their next trip, but also make big life decisions, like where to go to school, where to retire, and where to relocate. We look forward to leveraging this campaign and our future marketing efforts to help more companies and families see how great a place Illinois is to live, work, and invest in. It took many partners to get here today. For months, we've been working very closely with our colleagues at the Department of Health and Department of Public Health, the Convention and Visitor Bureau partners, folks like the Illinois Hotel and Lodging Association, the Illinois Restaurant Association, the Illinois Retail Merchants Association, and last but not least, our great colleagues in the General Assembly, to make sure that we were keeping folks safe and monitoring the latest health and safety data to keep things going. We're very excited today to reopen the tourism businesses and bring workers back and visitors back to our economy. Finally, I want to give one last shout out to Carla Flannery and our Office of Illinois Tourism. Their team has really been working hard around the clock on this campaign that we're rolling out, but also making sure that the interests of hospitality businesses and the tourism industry were well represented as we went through this last year. Combined, the efforts of our partners and our team together have us right on track just in time for summer and ready to reclaim our role as an international destination here in Illinois. With that, I'd like to turn it over to one of our biggest advocates for tourism, Speaker Welsh. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Director. Good morning, Illinoisans. It is so great to see everyone here this morning at the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum. It is such a beautiful institution. You know, Illinois has been a model for the nation in terms of our efforts to control the spread of coronavirus. And I have to commend our governor and his team for a job well done. Really, after a robust effort to vaccinate as many people as possible with the help of the Illinois National Guard, so many local health departments and the pharmacies across our state, Illinoisans seeking the vaccine have been able to get one, which is so incredibly important to ending this pandemic. We are now able to come here today to focus on rebuilding our economy and drawing back tourists to this great state after more than a year of hardship. It's ready to get out. It's time for everyone to get out and play. We need to maintain Illinois' rightful place as a destination for many key industries. That includes tourism. We are working hard in the legislature to make sure we regain our spot in breaking tourism records here in this state. And that is why, at the beginning of this legislative session, one of the first acts I took as Speaker of the House was appointing a tourism committee chaired by Chairman Lamont Robinson. And they have been hard at work. We are working hard, passing bills like the Rental Assistance Program Act and the Health Equity Bill, and that has moved us through this pandemic to ensure that our most basic needs are taken care of. We're not done yet. We have more work to do in this 3 weeks that we have remaining in session. But it is now time to turn our sights on encouraging Illinoisans and others from the Midwest to enjoy what our great state has to offer. Get in your car, everyone. Drive Illinois. This is a beautiful state. Come visit Springfield. Come visit the Abraham Lincoln Library and Museum. Come learn about the music and musicians that we have here in this great state. Visit our state parks. go to a ball game, throw out a first pitch. Come on and enjoy Illinois. This is a great place. Now I'm honored to introduce my good friend, Senate President Don Harmon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's good to be here with you and the whole assembled crowd. Governor, a great commercial, and props for using an Illinois band, REO Speedwagon, the pride of Oak Lawn and Champaign. Woohoo! Tourism is a vital part of our economy because so many people recognize how beautiful our state is from top to bottom and from side to side. Now, before even seeing this commercial, we walked the walk. My family took a spring break, which turned out to be a vaccination vacation, driving down to southern Illinois to explore Lake of Egypt and Giant City State Park, and it was just fabulous. There are so many wonderful things to see and do in this state. So Illinois is opening for business, and I encourage everyone to be part of it. Get vaccinated and get out there. Now, at the beginning of this General Assembly, just like the House, the Senate, too, created a standing committee on hospitality and tourism, and there was no one better to chair that committee than a tenacious advocate for the restaurants and cultural institutions in her district, the convention industry statewide, and all of our wonderful destinations in Illinois, Senator Sarah Feigenholtz.
Thank you, Senate President Harmon. And I too, want to thank the governor, because were it not for all of the work that the governor did in trying to contain a pandemic that our world sees every 100 years, I don't think we would be here today. So I'd like to give the governor a big hand. Honestly, to deal with the slings and arrows, Governor, that you had to deal with, I'm just really proud that you stuck to your guns. I really am. So as my Senate President said, I represent Chicago's lakefront, which is, I believe, a significant destination. Wrigley Field, Lincoln Park, and the zoo, just to name a couple of things, are that were in this beautiful little ad you put together, are in my district. And of course, the restaurant and hotel industry, which is an incredible economic force. I'm not sure that many people realize that the hospitality and tourism industry is the largest employer in the state of Illinois outside of state government. I believe that combined, tourism, hotels, and restaurants drive about, I'd say, 600,000 jobs in this state. And that includes people who work at McCormick Place, our brothers and sisters in labor who depend on conventions to come to the city of Chicago. And Chicago is the convention city. We invented this. We became the city that brought conventions to life after, and I would like to give Jane Byrne credit for it because it started with the Blues Brothers. Before that, we were sort of a darker city, but right now we have built, as Director Garcia said, an incredible tourism destination where the young millennials that are coming to our city are sitting in the back 10 rows of an airplane, and they already have reservations at our culinary destinations in the city and around the state. So I am thrilled that today we begin our journey back to those jobs, back to reviving an industry that has been hit the hardest and essentially is the biggest economic engine in our state. I believe that if you go down the supply chain, we're talking about $48 billion of economic activity, not just in the state, but interstate. And I think the hotel tax, which is what the tourism budget depends on, is approximately, we bring in over $300 million in in hotel tax revenue, which is the gasoline that drives the tourism budget that we hope is completely funded so that we can kickstart this convention and this whole economic engine. And so thank you, Governor. It's important, as our friend Sam Toya from the Restaurant Association says, to bring heads and beds and bodies and seats in our restaurants. Conventions are, once we get to bringing them in, what will revive this sector. And I am grateful that we are here today to begin that journey. Thank you again. And I'd like to introduce my dear friend and colleague, Representative Lamont Robinson, who is the chair of the House Tourism Committee. Thank you.
Governor, how do I follow that act? Thank you to Governor Pritzker and Speaker Welch for inviting me here today. As the chair of the House Tourism Committee, I'm excited to be a part of this new campaign. Time for me to drive. I'm also honored to support our most economic engine in the state, as Senator Feickenholtz mentioned, tourism. As others have remarked, it has been a tough year for our state since the start of this pandemic. But I want to thank the governor again for being a steady hand through this pandemic and all the challenges that have faced our state. Governor, also, we want to thank you for believing in science and all of the great staff that you have that has gotten us through, again, these challenging times. It has been particularly tough on our small businesses, restaurants, hospitality industry that rely on tourism to facilitate local economic development and growth. Things are looking up for us in the state of Illinois, and there are great destinations all across our state, from the skylines and great neighborhoods, the fantastic gyms in the city of Chicago, where I represent, to Start Rock and LaSalle County, to the Abraham Lincoln Museum, where we are convened this afternoon. I'm happy to again support this campaign to revitalize our tourism industry and put Illinoisans back to work. I'm excited for the future of this great state and trust that our residents will be excited as well. Thank you for this opportunity. I would like to bring up Springfield's finest, Representative Scher.
Thank you to my buddy, Representative Robinson and Robbins. I just think it's a very special opportunity for Senator Turner and I especially to be here as the hostesses, I guess you'd say, because this is in our district. And it takes me back to a time when I remember as a child my grandma living at 819 South College, and, you know, back in the day it was, you kids go play, we grown-ups will talk. So my brother and my cousins and I, that's what we did on Sundays, is we came and we'd go through the museums and through the Capitol, and just such wonderful memories that I have. So I think that's probably what brought me to this place as vice chair of the Museums, Arts, and Cultural Enhancement Committee. We actually have a committee hearing today, and I love being on that committee. I love everything that has to do with tourism and museums, and it's just such a special honor to represent this museum as part of my district. And my greatest thanks to our president of our Senate and our new Speaker Welch and to Governor Pritzker, because without everybody working together, I wouldn't have had those childhood memories, and I wouldn't have the opportunity to have these wonderful museums in my district. And it all starts with tourism dollars. So thank you so much for everybody realizing the importance of that, because what we put into it, we way more get back than what we put in. So thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I'd like to introduce Michael Jacobson with the motels. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Governor Pritzker, thank you for inviting me to be here with you this morning. With today's announcement, it is becoming more clear day by day that Illinois is back open for business, and we are excited to safely welcome visitors with open arms. Investing in tourism promotion efforts allows for Illinois to compete in the regional, national, and global marketplaces to get travelers to our great state. We have so many great destinations and attractions to visit throughout the state, and those who are looking to book a summer vacation, particularly those in the Midwest, need to keep Illinois top of mind, and this campaign will put us in the forefront as families consider where to travel. What people rarely realize is that an investment in tourism promotion is an investment in economic development. Promoting tourism helps our economy by getting visitors to stay in our hotels, to eat at our restaurants, shop in our retail stores, buy fuel at our gas stations, and enjoy our amazing attractions. Promoting tourism boosts tax revenues for the local communities and the state, whether it be the hotel occupancy tax, the sales tax, the gas tax, and property taxes, among others. The hotel tax was one of the largest growing sources of tax revenue for Illinois before the pandemic. Promoting tourism improves our state's image by marketing every corner of the state and ensuring people realize everything that Illinois has to offer. Nobody has ever relocated to a state or moved their family or their business without ever visiting that state. And how many times do we hear from people who visit us saying, I just got back from Illinois, it was amazing there. And promoting tourism puts people back to work. We still have 20,000 hotel workers out of work and laid off across the state who are anxious to get back to work. Convincing travelers to visit Illinois this summer will lead to the rehiring of these colleagues sooner rather than later. Hotels across the state have taken significant steps to ensure the well-being of our staff and our guests, and we are ready to safely welcome travelers to our properties soon. I'd now like to introduce the chair of the Illinois Council of CVBs, Jane DeLuce.
Thank you. This is a great day, and isn't it always as beautiful when you announce a tourism campaign? It's a perfect day for that. I'd like to thank Governor Pritzker for making this day possible and all of our members of the General Assembly. I am Jane DeLuce. I'm President and CEO of Visit Champaign County, home of REO Speedwagon, and also have the honor of serving as chair of the Illinois Council of Convention and Visitor Bureaus. Today's announcement means that Illinois is ready to once again showcase all that we have to offer. The campaign, led by Carla Flannery and her amazing team, will bring visitors to and throughout Illinois, which in turn will bring customers for our local businesses and jobs for our workforce. ICCVB represents 38 destination organizations around Illinois, including Chicago and hundreds of downstate cities, small towns, Main Street, urban and rural communities. And we know that right now it's road trips that are connecting our communities more than ever before. Whether a solo trip or groups of families or friends, travelers have over 60 itineraries to explore new adventures at some of the most highly acclaimed food, arts, and culture scenes of any towns in the Midwest and easily accessible by our major highway systems. Beyond creating priceless memories, these road trip experiences create an immediate infusion of cash in the tourism economy, which has been so decimated by the pandemic. At ICCVB, we proudly work along with the CEO, the Illinois Office of Tourism, and our industry partners to promote Illinois communities as welcoming, multicultural destinations to visit, to work, and to live. Through this work, visitors will come, and businesses throughout the state will immediately feel the impact of visitor spending at hotels, restaurants, retail attractions. Many small businesses, including minority-owned, depend on us to tell their stories and further their reach to both residents and visitors whom we refer to as potential residents. The return on investment for destination promotion drives $11 in tax revenue for every dollar in promotional spend. We do what we do for the faces of the hospitality industry. We have something that no outside entity will bring to the table, the love of our communities, and as such, directly affected by the results. We are personally invested. Thank you, Governor Pritzker, for making the right choices to protect our safety so we can truly see the benefits today. Tourism is back. We are essential to Illinois' economic recovery, and we are ready to welcome visitors. Thank you, and I'd like to welcome back Governor Pritzker to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thanks so much to Jane and to all the speakers this morning, and I'm happy to take any questions from members of the media. Peter. Just domestic consumption, but I'll have our DCEO director give you more detail.
Sure. It's a total of $6 million in media. Given the theme of Time for Me to Drive, it's focused on border states in Illinois, so it's playing in 7 states and 18 markets.
You may want to stick around somewhere nearby. I'm not sure if there are other questions about the campaign itself. Well, I know that that's still being talked about, worked on, and there is a constitutional requirement that there is a map that passes before June 30. So I know that the legislature is working hard to get that done.
On Monday, you got asked about IDS offices. We've been asking about that for months, and we've gotten the same reasons. At what point do those reasons become excuses by yourself and the department?
Well, let me start by saying that the pandemic is still with us. Let's recognize that there are offices, whether they're private companies or government offices, that are only partially open or not open yet. We are working very hard in all of our agencies to have schedules for opening. Some are more open than others, but the IDS offices will be opening during the summer. As we move into the summer, there is a schedule that they're working on to open each of the offices.
And speaking more to that, there's actually a House Resolution 226 that's going to be talked about today, a bipartisan resolution that would immediately open the offices. Would you be in favor of that?
Well, again, we've got to keep in mind that we have health challenges. They're still with us all around the world and here in Illinois, and so we want to make sure that with the work that IDPH does, that we're doing it in a safe fashion. So just saying fling the doors open, that sounds like something that unsafe states do.
Governor, we've heard about LaSalle quite a bit. If you compare and contrast your response to LaSalle and Governor Rauner's response to Quincy.
Transparency, transparency, transparency. We have, from the very beginning, provided all the information that we become aware of. I think that's not the case in the prior instance at Quincy. These are tragedies, no doubt, but they're tragedies the public should know as much about as we can learn, and that's why I asked for an independent investigation and why that report was delivered in an independent fashion. I think even the IG yesterday talked about the independence of the work that was done.
But your critics say that you waited 11 days and you let the leadership, Director Chapelopia and the Director of LaSalle hang around too long, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, the folks, for example, Senator Resin and all have been saying, you don't have standing to criticize Rauner when they look at LaSalle.
Look, the critics are going to say whatever they say. I think what I'm looking at is the responsible actions that we took in the wake of knowing information that action needed to be taken upon. So as you saw, not only did we take action to improve the situations at each of our veterans' homes, but we also brought in a terrific new leader of the Department of Veterans Affairs who has a tremendous amount of experience running the Ohio homes as well as a medical career. Well, the Senate President, the Speaker, and I have committed that we're going to be paying back the borrowing that we took out over the last year to cover our coronavirus expenses. The rules are still being worked on in Washington, as you know, and we are in daily communication with the offices at the Treasury Department that are deciding about those rules. They put out a preliminary rule, and they know, as we do, and this happened, by the way, under the last administration when they had rules around the CARES Act, that there would be adjustments that would need to be made. And so we're following that, trail to make sure that we get everything done that we need to so we can use those. Look, the federal government's sending us dollars and then telling us that we can't then send those dollars back to the federal government to pay for the borrowing that we took out last year. It clearly doesn't make a lot of sense, and so we've talked to the Treasury Department about that. Mark.
A lot of the wealthiest Americans saw their share of wealth just explode during the pandemic.
Yes.
Senator Bernie Sanders said they would send a terrible, terrible message to voters to reinstate the state and local tax deduction. But you're advocating for that. There are critics who say that would just help the rich. Why is this the right time to reinstate the SALT tax?
He only used one terrible, not two. But as far as I know. Look, we live in a state where we know that we have property taxes that are high. As a result of that, there are people in the middle class who fall into this SALT cap challenge. And so we want to lower taxes on, as many of those people as we possibly can. The SALT cap, as you saw, the reason that the largest states were most affected is because we're the ones who have higher property tax burdens on our middle class. So that's who we're trying to alleviate the challenge for. Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning of that. Look, our job here is to make sure that we're creating jobs and helping people to rebuild the lives that they had before the pandemic. And so we're not going to pull the rug out from under people. What we are going to do is make sure that we're creating, promoting as many jobs as possible and attracting people to those jobs. Yes. Yes.
Found that the recommendations that were made after the Auditor General's report from Quincy had not been implemented. Specifically, recommendations that all of the veterans' homes implement uniform infection control policies. So why were those recommendations not implemented? How is that showing that your administration is responsible?
Look, I'm upset and extraordinarily disappointed that the leadership at the Department of Veterans Affairs did not make the corrections that were suggested in that report and others that should have been done. But we've, as I said, we've looked at all of those. We've looked at all of the recommendations and suggestions that came out of the independent IG report, and we've made the improvements or are in process of continuing those improvements under the new leader. Yes, Mike.
We have a proposal for the emergency housing assistance that has both chambers now sitting on her desk. It has some timely provisions in there. Are you signing that soon to get people the help that they need?
Stay tuned. Thank you.
More revenue? Do we need to target the taxes?
I'm looking forward to the 15 emails I'm going to get today.
Will you respond?
Will you respond?
Jordan, hey, Jordan, will you respond? Jordan, will you respond?
To realtor